Hey all, this is Six Path Weeb, and you're right on time for Naruko, the Skyborn Sage, Part 3. The winds of fate are shifting, and Naruko stands at the edge of something greater, or far more dangerous. What comes next? Only the sky knows. But we're about to find out together. Disclaimer, this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Let's get into it. Day 4 of training. This marked the 4th day of their training together. Naruko waited patiently while Hinata prepared their breakfast. She cherished this peaceful atmosphere, no need for a forced smile or to pretend to be someone else. On the first day, Naruko had learned that Hinata wished to create her own unique version of the gentle fist technique, and that she needed Naruko's help. She also shared the condition her father had set for her. Naruko had been frustrated at first, but Hinata had reassured her that everything was all right and not to worry. Since then, Naruko mentally added Hinata's father to her playful prank list. They spent time identifying their weaknesses and making specific plans for improvement. Hinata possessed excellent chakra control, but her chakra reserves and stamina needed work. To address this, she began waking early to jog around Konoha with Naruko. She also learned that greater flexibility was essential for her new style to succeed. Naruko supported her by having her spar against 5 of her shadow clones at once. Hinata was confident in her chakra control and waited patiently for Naruko to complete her tree walking training. Now that she had finished, they could begin water walking exercises together. As for ninjutsu, both had started their elemental training. Although Naruko progressed quickly by using shadow clones to multiply her learning speed, Hinata was steadily catching up due to her superior chakra control and extra practice at home during the evenings. Naruko, our determined heroine, realized she had a lot of ground to cover. Most of her classmates had received training from their clans or families. Even during their time at the academy, others had received more focused instruction. She had often been overlooked. Still, she knew she was finally making progress, even if she wasn't sure it was enough. Naruko assisted Hinata with her morning warm-up while she sent one of her clones to refine her taijutsu. She realized the academy style wasn't effective enough, especially against refined techniques like Hinata's gentle fist. So she began exploring kenjutsu, the art of swordsmanship, and quickly discovered a natural affinity for it. Everything started on the first night of training, when she visited Iruka's home for guidance. Flashback. Hey, Iruka-sensei, are you home? Naruko knocked gently on the door. Yes, I'm here, Naruko, Iruka replied, opening the door. What brings you here this late? Naruko shifted slightly, gathering her thoughts. Iruka-sensei. Could you help me learn kenjutsu? Iruka blinked in surprise. It wasn't often that a young ninja requested such an advanced skill, but he was glad to see her ambition. That's a big step, Naruko. What made you decide that? Well, I just started training with Hinata-chan today. We're going to train together until the team selections next week. But while sparring, I realized I don't know much beyond shadow clones. Hinata already has this amazing taijutsu technique, and a lot of our classmates seem to have strong abilities, too. I wanted to learn something new and powerful. Iruka smiled warmly and motioned for her to come inside. Flashback ends. The next day, Iruka provided Naruko with beginner scrolls containing various kenjutsu styles. All were interesting, but one stood out, the twin moon style. It involved dual blades, spontaneous movement, and it felt perfectly aligned with Naruko's instincts. Unfortunately, the scroll only contained one technique, and the style's history was shrouded in mystery. Even Iruka hadn't been able to find more information. He gave Naruko sturdy wooden practice swords and made her promise not to train with real blades until she had a jonin instructor. She agreed and committed to the training. Every evening, Naruko would create 20 to 30 shadow clones to train with the practice swords. She diligently practiced basic kenjutsu as well as the twin moon technique. She told Hinata about her new training, and Hinata was genuinely happy for her. Everything was going smoothly, until Naruko learned more about Hinata's father's condition. It upset her deeply. She wanted to defend Hinata somehow, but Hinata calmed her down, and they both decided to push their training even further. They added elemental training into their routine, physical conditioning, sparring, chakra control, and now nature element development. Naruko trained her kenjutsu alone at night, while Hinata worked on her elemental control at home. Naruko was especially surprised to learn about Hinata's elemental nature. Flashback. Hinata-chan, do you know what your elemental affinity is? Naruko asked, wiping her forehead after another sparring session that left her bested once again by Hinata's precise style. "And no, I don't know yet, Naruko-chan," Hinata replied. Naruko pulled out a special chakra-sensitive paper and handed it to her. Hinata tilted her head, curious. "You focus your chakra into the paper. It reacts depending on your affinity," Naruko explained. "Where did you get this?" Hinata asked. "Iruka-sensei gave it to me," Naruko said proudly, striking a playful pose. Hinata giggled softly, then turned her attention to the paper. After a few seconds, the paper became damp. "Wow! So your element is water. That's really cool. Now we can do our elemental training together." Naruko grinned, holding up a handful of training leaves. Flashback ends. Back in the present, Naruko lay on the grass, catching her breath after yet another round with Hinata's formidable technique. She looked up at the clouds, thoughts swirling in her mind. All she hoped for was to reach her goals. Reiju, her mysterious guide, had said she was doing well, but she still felt nervous. The challenge ahead, whatever it might be, was uncertain. Reiju had promised the right moment would come for her trial, and that she should stay focused rather than anxious. Shaking off her thoughts, Naruko looked toward Hinata, who was now rested and ready. It was time to begin their chakra control exercises. A few hours later, Naruko and Hinata were training together by a shallow pool, practicing the water walking technique. The water only reached their knees, which helped them avoid getting too soaked. Although they were close to mastering it, they decided to postpone further attempts for the next day, conserving their chakra for the elemental training. After enjoying a hearty lunch at Ichiraku Ramen, they returned to the training field for their final activity of the day. "How's your elemental training coming along, Hinata-chan?" Naruko asked cheerfully. She had recently learned from Iruka-sensei that the first step in lightning element training involved wrinkling a leaf until it was nearly half its original size. For water, the exercise required soaking a dry leaf all at once using chakra control. Almost finished. "How about you, Naruko-chan?" Hinata responded with a gentle smile. Training with Naruko had been transformative for her, building her physical skills and boosting her confidence. Though she still blushed whenever Naruko came close, she found herself stuttering less and growing more composed around her. "I'm almost there too," Naruko said. "I can wrinkle the leaf most of the time, just need a little more practice." Hinata nodded and focused on her own training. Her goal was to saturate a dry leaf with chakra in one fluid motion. Watching Naruko summon 5 shadow clones to assist with her practice made Hinata puff her cheeks slightly in mock annoyance. To her, it felt like a shortcut, so she made sure to practice extra hard when she was home, carefully, so no one in her household would notice. Her father was busy training Hanabi as usual, which, for once, she appreciated. "Woohoo! I did it!" One of Naruko's clones cheered. Immediately afterward, another clone tossed a kunai at her, dispelling her in an instant. "I think I've figured it out," said the clone who had thrown the kunai, clearly the original. The remaining clones looked slightly exasperated, and one even muttered, "Strict as ever." Hinata couldn't help but giggle at the moment. She treasured these simple, happy times and hoped for more like them in the future. That night, Naruko lay down, too tired to move a muscle. She and Hinata had made solid progress on the first steps of their elemental training. After a short rest, Naruko had returned to the training grounds solo, created 20 shadow clones, and spent 3 intense hours practicing twin moon-style kenjutsu. There was one move in particular that intrigued her, but it required fine control, and she knew she had to train harder. Despite the exhaustion leaving her limbs numb, Naruko remained determined. Only 3 days remained before the training break ended. "Holding up, kid?" came Raiju's voice. Naruko gave a small groan in response, causing Reiju to chuckle. "I'm genuinely impressed by how far you've come, especially with your sword techniques. But given your Uzumaki lineage, perhaps it's not too surprising." Naruko gave a weak smile, too tired to respond. Reiju then offered, "How about this? If you master that kenjutsu technique and complete the second phase of your lightning training by the end of the week, I'll teach you a special storm release technique designed for swords." Naruko immediately sat up. "Really? You'd teach me a storm release move?" "Only if you meet both goals," Reiju said with a grin. Naruko wanted to cheer, but saved her energy for the next day. She smiled and quickly drifted off to sleep. 3 days later. Naruko adjusted her new outfit and secured her twin wooden swords, one at her waist, the other diagonally across her back, per the unique requirements of twin moon-style kenjutsu. The positioning allowed for swift and dynamic movement, just as described in her training scrolls. She was excited. The previous night, she had succeeded in both the elemental chakra exercise and 2 fundamental kenjutsu techniques. The first was called intercepting step, and the second was the blade drawing technique known as loose scissor. Reiju had congratulated her and promised to begin her instruction in the storm release sword technique soon. Today was team selection day, but first, Naruko had to meet Hinata. Hinata had told her the night before about a family evaluation she had to go through, and asked Naruko to attend for moral support. According to her, her father had approved Naruko's presence, so she readily agreed. As Naruko reached the Hyuga compound, she spotted Hinata waiting by the entrance. She had traded her usual cream-colored jacket for a more fitted, lavender one, paired with shorts that reached her knees, colors that complemented her hair and eyes. She looked elegant, and Naruko paused for a second, puzzled by a strange, instinctive reaction she couldn't quite explain. She shook it off, mentally noting to speak with Iruka-sensei about it later. Hinata looked up and blushed as she saw Naruko approach. Naruko was dressed in a short-sleeved jacket blending dark and orange hues, with a tight chainmail shirt underneath that reached her elbows. Fingerless gloves, black pants with orange accents, and the twin wooden swords completed her look. Hello, Naruko-chan. Thank you for coming, Hinata said softly, her gaze lowering. Naruko, mistaking her tone for nerves, gave her a gentle nudge. You've got this, Hinata-chan. You're going to do great, we both know it. Hinata's smile returned, and she led Naruko inside to the Hyuga's private dojo. Inside, Naruko saw Hinata's father, Hyashi, and several elders seated. Though Naruko maintained a respectful demeanor and offered a polite bow, she noticed their stern expressions. Among them was a boy around her age who looked at Hinata briefly with disapproval before masking his expression. Hinata was called to the center of the dojo. Across from her stood another girl who looked younger and quite serious. The test was clear: demonstrate progress by sparring against Hanabi, her younger sister. What the elders really seemed to expect, however, was for Hinata to lose with dignity. Hajime, came the command. Hanabi launched forward with a flurry of precise gentle fist strikes. Hinata, however, dodged skillfully, something Hyashi had seen before. But to his surprise, Hinata also counterattacked during her evasions, striking minor chakra points with careful precision, slowing Hanabi down bit by bit. Within a minute, Hanabi was breathing hard. Her main chakra points remained open, but enough of the smaller ones were affected to reduce her mobility. Growing frustrated, she charged forward again, but this time, Hinata moved swiftly to her side and tapped her neck gently, causing her to fall unconscious. Gasps filled the dojo. Hinata had won, cleanly and effectively. Hyashi was about to speak when one of the elders interrupted. Although you won, your technique diverged from traditional gentle fist methods. We expected refinement in form, not improvisation. Naruko frowned. She showed great improvement. Isn't that what matters? She asked respectfully but firmly. Calm yourself, Uzumaki-san, Hyashi said. Hinata, I'm proud you won, but the elders wanted to assess your progress in the gentle fist form specifically. She demonstrated skill, adaptability, and grace, Naruko replied. She succeeded in her own way. Some elders murmured quietly, clearly unimpressed. Hanabi is still learning, one elder said. Let us see how Hinata fares against someone more advanced. Neji, step forward. Neji, the older boy from earlier, approached calmly, taking his stance in the center of the dojo. Hinata glanced toward Naruko, uncertainty in her eyes. You can do this, Hinata-chan, Naruko encouraged with a confident smile. He's just another step in your journey. Hyashi, observing everything, recognized that while Hinata's style may not have followed tradition perfectly, her growth was undeniable. Yet, the elder's fixation on method over progress remained clear. Hinata nodded to her father. Begin, Hyashi said. Now Hinata knew that Neji was a formidable opponent. He had already observed her movements in a previous match, which meant she needed to increase her speed or the match would end quickly. She was relieved that, at the very least, Neji was not lecturing about fate at the moment. Neji, on the other hand, felt confident. He believed he had the upper hand. Although Hinata was agile, her previous match had exhausted her. While she hadn't sustained any injuries, her stamina had been taxed. Neji's confidence as a Hyuga prodigy was not unfounded. Hinata was doing her utmost to evade the precise, chakra-enhanced strikes of her cousin. They were more refined and faster than her younger sister Hanabi's. A few of her chakra points had already been disrupted, and she knew she couldn't continue like this for long. Still, she pushed forward, drawing strength from the presence of Naruko. Somehow, just knowing she was there gave Hinata the determination to persevere. With a final burst of energy, she dashed toward Neji. Anticipating his counterattack, she lowered her stance and struck at the chakra points on his thigh and waist. Neji quickly retreated, then launched forward again, catching Hinata by surprise. She had little energy left to respond, and his next series of strikes landed cleanly. Surrender, Hinata-sama. You are too tired to continue. You even attempted to switch your technique because you have yet to fully master the gentle fist, Neji said calmly. Though the match seemed to be decided, Hinata remained on her feet, though she wavered. I will not surrender. I will not back down, Hinata said through heavy breaths. Though she recognized her loss, she remained steadfast in spirit. Seeing the elders nod subtly, Neji stepped forward and delivered a final, measured palm strike to her chest, sending her backward. Just before she could fall, Naruko appeared and caught her. Naruko was visibly upset. Her expression was serious, her voice controlled but sharp. What was that? She asked, staring at Neji. I asked her to surrender, and she didn't. I proceeded as necessary, Neji responded, then added, she was more skilled before, when she used the traditional gentle fist. I suppose training with you has made her less focused. She's not using it properly anymore. I'm a distraction, am I? Naruko said quietly, before giving a confident, calm smile. Why don't you prove that I'm a so-called distraction by sparring with me next? Unless, of course, you're too worn out after your match with Hinata. Before Neji could respond, an elder spoke up. Why not? You need to learn your place, outsider. Be cautious, though. Even sparring matches can lead to unexpected consequences. Just look at Hinata. The elders exchanged amused glances, clearly enjoying the show. Neji gave a small smirk and prepared himself, but the moment he looked at Naruko, his smile faltered. There was a serious, focused intensity in her gaze, far beyond anything playful. Hiashi, observing the scene unfold, shook his head slightly. What had begun as a simple demonstration was becoming something else entirely. Please escort Hinata to the infirmary, he instructed a branch family member. This will be the final match of the day. And Neji, this is a sparring match. Not a competition for dominance. Neji stiffened at his uncle's tone. Hiashi turned to the elders. And elders, this was not organized for you to judge Hinata's abilities or for personal entertainment. I suggest you remember your roles here, or we will be having a serious conversation later. The elders fell quiet at Hiashi's firm words. Hiashi looked at both participants and sighed. Begin. Naruko assumed her stance, hands crossed over her twin swords, left hand resting on her right blade, and right hand on her left. Give up now. You won't be able to do anything with that unorthodox stance. Fate has determined your path, and you're destined to lose. Just look at what happened to Hinata-sama, Neji said, trying to get under her skin. Naruko's expression didn't change, but a quiet smile formed. At least I am free to choose my own path. What about you? Neji hesitated for a moment, surprised by her response. His brows furrowed, clearly displeased. He launched forward with his gentle fist stance, palm outstretched to strike. However, his speed was slightly reduced. Hinata's earlier strikes had taken some toll. Perfect. Naruko used a technique she had been practicing, intercepting step. Dash. Flashback. What exactly is this intercepting step? Do I just dash forward really fast? How is that supposed to help me? Naruko muttered to herself during training. Reiju, her companion spirit, spoke up. Explain the technique to me. Maybe I can help. Naruko smiled, glad to hear his voice again. It says I need to make a quick step using one leg and land on the other to pull my opponent into my range quickly. I don't get it. Range, huh? Reiju said thoughtfully. That means your comfortable distance, where you're best at attacking, defending, or dodging. This technique helps you pull your opponent into your ideal space before they can act. If you master it, you can blend it with another move seamlessly. I get the first part. What about the second? You're unpredictable, Naruko. Figure it out. That's what makes you special, Reiju replied with a chuckle. Dash. Flashback ends. With a swift motion, Naruko closed the gap. Drawing her sword mid-step, she gently struck Neji's extended wrist, redirecting the attack and throwing him slightly off balance. Without pause, she drew her second sword and tapped his shoulder with enough force to break his form but not harm him. Neji's stance faltered, his arms opened slightly. Naruko used the momentum to leap forward and lightly bumped his chest with her forehead protector. The impact startled him but caused no harm. Neji coughed slightly from the unexpected contact and stumbled back. Naruko used this moment to toss one of her swords lightly into the air, grab the back of Neji's collar, and gently pull him forward, making him kneel, rather than fall. She ensured her actions did not cause lasting discomfort or injury. The dojo was quiet. Naruko calmly caught her sword as it descended, then she stood tall and composed. Branch members went to assist Neji, who sat in a daze, surprised not by pain, but by how gracefully Naruko had bested him. The elders, no longer smirking, watched in silence. Hyashi blinked once, then allowed a small nod of approval. Hanabi's observations. Hanabi opened her eyes just in time to witness the spar between her sister Hinata and their cousin Neji. Despite her exhaustion, Hinata held her ground remarkably well, even managing to momentarily corner Neji, an impressive feat against the clan's prodigy. Hanabi was proud of her sister, though she couldn't understand why the elders appeared disappointed. After all, Hinata had outlasted her and even pushed Neji further than anyone expected. Then came the second match. Hanabi didn't pay it much attention at first, a match between Neji and an unfamiliar student. The outcome seemed obvious. But what happened was unexpected. The spar was indeed brief, lasting less than a minute. However, it wasn't the unknown student who was on the ground, it was Neji. Hanabi stared in surprise at the back of the victor, who stood tall and composed, exuding an intimidating presence. Without a word from the elders, the student quietly began walking toward the infirmary. She paused at the doorway and spoke in a calm, composed tone. "You were right. Anything can happen in a sparring match." With that, she left. Meanwhile, with Hinata. Hinata slowly regained consciousness, finding herself in the Hyuga clan's infirmary. She lay still, reflecting on the match. "I lost to Neji Ni-san," she murmured, disappointed. "Hey," a cheerful voice greeted her. Naruko Uzumaki walked in, waving with a bright smile. Seeing her, Hinata smiled softly, though sadness still lingered in her expression. Naruko's smile faded, and she approached with concern. "Hinata-chan, you're not feeling down just because of that match with Neji, are you?" "It didn't go how I imagined. My style seems so lacking compared to the traditional gentle fist. Maybe the elders were right." Before Hinata could sink further into discouragement, Naruko sat beside her and gently hugged her. "Hey, don't think like that. You promised to follow my path, right? Then don't give up now. Your goal was to challenge your sister and grow stronger, without going too far. You did it. You showed you're improving, and your new style still has potential. It's not complete yet, but I'll help you every step of the way." Naruko released her from the hug and gave a reassuring smile. Hinata, although a little flustered, smiled back, this time with renewed confidence. "You're right. I'll keep training and perfect my style." "Good. But for now, just rest. You've earned it." But we'll be late." Naruko gave her a mock stern look. "You're recovering. We'll go together later. No more arguing. Now rest." Hinata giggled quietly at Naruko's attempt to be strict and allowed herself to relax. Unseen by them, Hyashi Hyuga had been standing outside, observing. Being able to read lips, he understood their conversation. Though uncertain about Hinata's new approach, he was intrigued. She beat her sister using an unfinished technique. Maybe it's worth watching how this develops, Hyashi thought, turning to glance at a tree nearby. "I hope you saw that." A subtle movement among the branches suggested someone had. An hour later, at the academy. Naruko and Hinata arrived at the academy nearly 90 minutes later. While Hinata still felt a little sore, she was in better shape, thanks to the rest. As they entered the classroom, all noise ceased. Every student turned to look at them, surprise and curiosity filling the room. Some of the girls began whispering to each other, comparing Naruko's presence and style to that of Sasuke. The boys, meanwhile, couldn't help but notice Hinata, who seemed to glow with new confidence. "Sorry we're late, Iruka-sensei. We had a few things to handle. I hope we didn't miss team announcements," Naruko said casually. Hinata looked a little embarrassed beside her. "No worries. I've still got a few teams left to announce," Iruka replied, then added with a smile, "And by the way, you both look great today." "Thank you, Iruka-sensei," Naruko responded, visibly pleased. Thank you very much," Hinata added politely. They made their way to the back of the class. Naruko paused briefly to glance at Sakura, then continued toward her seat beside Hinata. Team 7 will be Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and the transfer student Sai, Iruka announced. A short exchange between Sakura and Ino followed, but Iruka's tone quickly settled the disagreement. Team 8 will be Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame, and Hinata Hyuga. Shino gave a quiet nod. Kiba smiled and gave Hinata a playful wink, only to freeze when he noticed Naruko's piercing gaze. Something about her expression made it clear: behave yourself. Kiba instinctively backed off, not quite sure why Naruko looked so intimidating lately. As Naruko's protective glance lingered, she unintentionally shifted a little closer to Hinata, who blushed. Over the past week, Hinata had come to realize something: Naruko was beginning to notice her. Sometimes she would catch Naruko watching her with an intense, unreadable look, especially during training. It was different, focused, and made Hinata's heart race. Even now, instead of sitting near Sakura, Naruko chose to sit by her. Hinata felt a giggle rise up and leaned in, enjoying the moment. Now that's all for team assignments, Iruka concluded. However, Naruko, your situation is a bit unique. You've been selected for an apprenticeship. Your mentor will arrive shortly. A mix of surprise and curiosity spread through the room. Naruko, although disappointed not to be on the same team as Hinata or Sakura, was intrigued. Sasuke, meanwhile, quietly noted the potential of such an arrangement. An apprenticeship meant one-on-one training with a high-level ninja, an opportunity he believed he was more suited for. A few moments later, the various team leaders arrived to collect their students. Then, a calm voice rang out. Naruko Uzumaki, meet me at Ichiraku Ramen for lunch. Everyone turned to see a man with short brown hair and calm eyes standing in the doorway. Without another word, he turned and left. Naruko blinked. How does he know that's my favorite place? Shrugging, she decided to find out in person. At Ichiraku Ramen. Naruko arrived to find the man already seated. She took the spot beside him, curious. Before we dive into questions, let's introduce ourselves, he offered politely. I'm Yamato. I was part of the Anbu and have just transitioned into a full-time jonin. I enjoy gardening and growing bonsai trees. My goal is to reach the level of someone I admire in both skill and integrity. Naruko smiled. I'm Naruko Uzumaki. I love training, ramen, and helping the people I care about. My dream is to earn the recognition of someone very important to me. Yamato smiled. Looks like we've got a few things in common. Let's eat, then we'll head to training ground 6. Naruko nodded, feeling eager but patient. Training ground 6. They arrived together. Yamato had walked instead of using ninja techniques, just to test if Naruko could keep up, and she did. Okay, now can I ask my questions? Naruko asked, clearly trying to stay polite despite her curiosity. Of course. You want to know how I knew about you and why I chose you, right? Naruko nodded. Well, I've been observing you over the past week. Naruko's eyes widened. You were following me? In her mind, she consulted a voice she'd come to know recently, Reiju, her mysterious inner companion. Did you sense him? She asked mentally. Of course I did, Reiju replied calmly. But remember what I said. You won't grow stronger if everything's handed to you. Learn from this and grow. That's the way forward. Naruko sighed inwardly. She knew he was right. So, she said aloud, after all you're watching, what do you think of me? Yamato let out a light chuckle. I did observe you, but only to understand where you currently stand. Since you've passed your initial Jinan exam, it's important to know there's another evaluation following team selection, one that has a relatively low success rate of only 33%. He smiled when he noticed Naruko's surprise. That means I've been evaluating your determination and capabilities throughout this past week. And I must admit, I was genuinely impressed that you managed to outmatch the previous Rookie of the Year, even though I didn't anticipate that encounter. Still, it turned out to be quite insightful. Seeing the puzzled look on Naruko's face, Yamato clarified, Hyuga Neji, yes, the one you faced with impressive precision. He paused, observing Naruko's slight smirk, and sighed thoughtfully. Looks like we still need to work a bit on that confidence of hers, Yamato mused internally. The third Hokage certainly believed I was the right choice for this. Flashback. You called for me, Hokage-sama? Yamato asked respectfully as he knelt before the third Hokage. Yes, I did. At ease, Tenzo. We have much to discuss regarding your new assignment, the Hokage replied, his voice calm but firm. It concerns our spirited young kunoichi, Naruko. I trust you've reviewed her profile? Yamato nodded. I have. Good. From now on, you'll serve as her mentor. I will formally appoint you as a full-time Jonin, and you'll guide her personally in her development. With all due respect, Hokage-sama, may I ask, why me? The Hokage exhaled gently through his pipe before answering. It's partly due to your unique skill set. Should Naruko ever lose control due to the influence of the Nine Tails, your abilities could help manage the situation. Additionally, if I present your mentorship proposal to the council, particularly the more conservative members, it may encourage their cooperation and prevent unnecessary interference, especially from Danzo. I understand. And my true task? Yamato asked with subtle curiosity. The Hokage chuckled softly. You truly are among the elite of the Anbu. Your role, as outlined, is to guide Naruko, report directly to me regarding any concerning developments related to her inner chakra spirit, and remain vigilant against anything that may compromise her safety or the village's well-being. Also, as you well know Danzo, keep a close eye on any suspicious movements. Understood, Hokage-sama. Excellent. From now on, you will go by the name Yamato. Flashback ends. Wait, you saw the matches? I didn't notice you there, Naruko said, raising an eyebrow. Given how noticeable Yamato was, she figured she would have remembered. I received permission from Hiashi-sama the night before to quietly observe your conduct, especially during Hinata's match. It was part of my evaluation. I didn't expect you to enter a match yourself, but it turned out to be a fortunate opportunity. You performed remarkably, though I would recommend showing a gentler approach during friendly training sessions. Yamato offered his insight with a calm tone. Naruko simply shrugged. So, since you say I passed the second test, what happens now? For now, you'll handle D-rank missions on your own, Yamato explained. I'll also speak with other instructors to see if you can join their teams temporarily for additional experience. Beyond that, we'll serve as backup support for other Genin teams on C-rank missions. A bright smile formed on Naruko's face. She couldn't wait to embrace the new chapter in her journey as a Genin, excited by the thought of all the adventures and challenges that lay ahead. Dear YouTube family. That's all for now, but the journey doesn't end here. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content from the world of anime and beyond. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, stay curious, Six Path Weeb, signing out.